First up, we've got a very special Climate Leaders Live session, which we're going to look at the importance of local innovations for new climate realities. Joining me virtually, both our guests today are virtual. I'm very excited about this. We've got Mamoun Rashid, founder of Badabon Singo, who is in Bangladesh, and Arne Janssen, climate lead at Cities Alliance. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Wonderful to have you here today. Arne, if I could start with you, can you tell us a little bit about Cities Alliance, what you do, and explain to us why are cities so important in the fight against climate change? I'm sensing Arne can't hear me. Are we getting that feeling, everyone? We're having a slight issue with the sound. We're going to try and sort that out. Just bear with me 1 second. Apologies for the moment. We're just going to make sure we can get Arne and we can get Mamoun online. But this is going to be a fantastic discussion. Oh, let's see if we can link up again. Who have we got? Arne and Mamoun. Can you hear me? Wave at me. Show me there's some life in the land of virtual. Are you there, Arne? Are you there, Mamoun? You're all looking at me thinking, what a poor guy. This is one of those tricky instances where technology is failing us. And I was so looking forward to this virtual panel. We will prevail, trust me. I've done this a few times. You just keep going until you prevail. Okay, gentlemen, I know you're on the other side of the world. We are going to conquer this issue. Oh, Arne, there's a sign of life. Arne, can you hear me? Good morning. And Mamoun? No? Yeah, we got to lift it. We got an eyebrow lifted. That's something. We're He seems to be with us, doesn't he, Arne? But not quite. They are, yeah. So I gather they're live, but they've turned their audio off. You know that traditional Zoom call nightmare? Yeah, you can't be heard, but you are there. Okay, gentlemen, the guys are working on it, so don't worry. We'll be with them in a second. Listen, I'm going to let them just work on it. I'm just going to babble for a little bit until we get through with it. Yeah, please do try and get, they're speaking to me in my ear. We'll get through to them in a few seconds' time. Just wanted to tell you very briefly before we jump in. Don't know if you read some of the newspapers today. We heard from a wonderful research group called Climate Action Tracker. And it was pretty stark because they were talking about all the pledges made by nations, and they were focusing about 2030. And they say that the 2030 pledges submitted by countries suggest that the planet will warm by at least 2.4%, by the end of the century. And to quote them, that is well above what scientists say is safe for the planet. So they've been analyzing all the commitments made up to this climate summit in Glasgow. And they say that according to the analysis, the summit itself is suffering from, wait for this, a massive credibility, action and commitment gap as well. Long-term net zero pledges could curb temperature rises by the end of the century to 1.8% if they were met. But it's a big if, because the quality of many of these pledges are questionable and countries don't have the short-term plans to put them in place to deliver that goal. It's fascinating that more than 140 countries have committed to reaching net zero, covering 90% of emissions. So you think that's fantastic, but CAT's analysis of 40 nations, not 190, concluded that only a handful actually have plans to back it up. So this is quite worrying as we approach the end of week 2 of COP26. We've heard all these, what we think are amazing pledges, but actually when you scratch beneath the surface, where are the actual actions to back that up? And accordingly, we've got Prime Minister Boris Johnson, you've probably read, dashing up to, Glasgow today as time runs out to, make meaningful agreements between member nations to try and reach this goal of, 1.5%. And of course, there's disagreement about the Paris goal. How do we word it? Are we still focusing on 1.5%? Are we focusing on, below 2%, around 1.5? So the semantics really, really matter. So I think when the final communique comes out, we're going to be parsing it very carefully to see how much of a change between, Paris 2015 and COP26 here in Glasgow as well. We've still got a few difficulties with our guests. Please accept my apologies. They will be with us in a few seconds' time. And what's fantastic about the upcoming panel is, we're going to be speaking to one of the panelists from Bangladesh. So it's going to be fantastic hearing about the view from Bangladesh of what's happening here in Glasgow at COP26. And also, this is a women's charity as well, and we've heard a lot about many aspects of a just transition, but I'm very much looking forward to hearing what Mamoun has to say about engaging women and indigenous populations and local populations with climate change as well. And Anna is going to tell us why cities, specifically in Bangladesh, are so important in the fight against climate change as well. And we're going to be discussing also local communities, how important it is for local communities to partner with the local government as well. And we're going to hear about the future strategies of Badabon, Singo as well, what they're planning to do with sustainability. So hopefully we'll get back to them in a few moments' time. If we don't, you're just going to hear me babble for the next 20 minutes. Maybe we'll have a little bit of an audience participation. Is everyone enjoying COP so far? Yeah? 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 Please. Yeah, if you want to put in some questions, by the way, please, yeah. What's been my favorite panel? Really good question. Yesterday, I don't know if you were here, there was a great chat between MSCI and JP Morgan. Yeah, it's funny how it was everyone's favorite. And it was wonderful because, of course, Sylvain, who was from MSCI, had just joined MSCI 24 hours before. So I found that very humorous how he was on this stage representing MSCI. He did a brilliant job, didn't he? But it was right at the end. And we know that there's been a lot of media coverage about, decarbonizing portfolios. And to be fair, it's not just JP Morgan. All the big banks have to decarbonize their portfolios. And some are doing better than others. So the topic caught alive, didn't it, right at the end, when actually a question from the audience did ask our guest from, JP Morgan Chase, when are you going to decarbonize your portfolios? And of course, she then, quoted the IEA, the International Energy Agency's 2050 report, which has 400 suggestions. I think it's a 250-page report. I read a lot of it. And she said we need new technologies, we need the cost to calm down. And it was lovely, wasn't it? Because Sylvain was very, very politely, he was going like this, so we let him say his word. He said, well, actually, that's not what they say. And then, of course, the lady from MSCI disagreed. So I think that was my favorite. I love debate, and I love disciplined and polite debate, because we're all about, they're behind me, which is fantastic. We're all about solutions. And yes, we do want to challenge people, but I think it's important we challenge people, civilly. But we mustn't shy away from what we're all doing and what we can achieve. Right, gentlemen, they've had to listen to me babble for the last 5 minutes, but we've done really, really well. I'm gonna reintroduce our panel just so you know who they are. Mamoun Rashid, who is the founder of Badabon Singo. Mamoun, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Well, there was a moment then. There was a moment then I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to be one of those days. Anna, how are you? Anna Janssen, climate lead at Cities Alliance. Anna, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, loud and clear, Mark.
Brilliant. Thank you, gentlemen. We're excited. We're ready to go. Anna, let's crack on. Tell me about Cities Alliance. Tell me what you do, and just explain to us, our virtual and our physical audience, why cities are so important in the fight against climate change.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mark. And also, thanks again for inviting us, having us. Also, thanks to Climate Action. Yeah, I think the audience and yourself, you have heard during COP already a lot why cities are so important and why cities are key. And we strongly support this idea. I will not go into too many details there, but let me start with introducing briefly the Cities Alliance. So the Cities Alliance is a global partnership fighting urban poverty and supporting cities to deliver sustainable development. And to manage our activities, The Cities Alliance operates a multi-donor fund with UNOPS as a host and trustee. So we are part of the United Nations family. UNOPS is the United Nations Office for Project Services, which allows us to work globally at any scale. When it comes to cities, why are cities so important? Our logo is, our mission is Cities Alliance, Cities Without Slums, which derives from 20 years ago when we were founded, actually in Berlin. And Nelson Mandela was our first patron. And you know that Nelson Mandela had in South Africa the strong vision and saw the need to fight slums, to fight urban poverty. And this is where we are still are 20 years later, maybe through different lenses, but our work is still focused on fighting for the urban poor and fighting for their voices to be heard.
And your central focus, Anna, is obviously, as you say, providing for the urban poor. You provide mechanisms, small grants essentially, for innovative urban projects. And that's how Mamoun got involved through his initiative. So that's the tie-up between the two, which is why we've got both Anna and Mamoun here. Let's get to the practicality of this. And I know that Anna would share this view that we need to hear about, what's actually happening on the ground. So Mamoun, great to have you here. Just tell us a little bit about the Badabon Singo project and why it's so important to engage women and indigenous local populations with climate change.
Yes, Badabon Shampoo founded in 2016, and from the very beginning, we are working on the rights of the women and indigenous people. So, from the very beginning, we are working on three issues: practically the land rights, water bodies rights, and climate justice. And our main program that is located at the belt of the Bay of Bengal and nearby the Sundarban. This is the world biggest mangrove forest. So we started to work with the women who are engaged in the fishing and who are engaged in the cropping. And we found that due to the climate change, the salinity, cyclone, migration, so lots of risks are there. So they are time to time they are losing their occupation, they are migrating, they are mostly affected by all of the consequences. And the male who are living in the village, they are migrating in the cities, they are lefting their family, so there are lots of widows separated and single mother. So that time we started to work with them. From this time we are working with them. And in the urban level, those women who are migrating in the cities and living in the urban, particularly in the informal settlement, they are basically affected by all of the consequences of the climate change and also other risks like violence, early marriage, food insecurity, unhealthy situation, and again the salinity, scarcity of fresh water, drinking water. All of those are affecting mostly the women and indigenous households who are living in the slums.
Tell us about some of the changes that you've helped implement and that you've witnessed so far.
Okay, thank you. We started our programs and with the help of City Alliance in the last August 2020. And from this time, there are others risks are there, like COVID, violence against women, food insecurity. All of those are there. Within these challenges, we started engaging the other stakeholders and all of the stakeholders like citizens committees, youth, women groups, and also the public authorities. So elected bodies like the mayor, and other officials of the municipalities. So we mobilize them, we engage number of users, the data, and also with the technology. Finally, we came up with a number of changes. I think those results are definitely remarkable. First of all, the capacities of women and indigenous people in the slums increased. And that means their articulation, their public speaking capacity, their engagement with the public authorities, that is definitely increased, and they can now express their needs and concerns within the system. That is one thing. Second thing is that we came up with the data and also evidence, and we developed a digital climate reference plan with engaging with the other stakeholder, private sector, public authorities, and the citizens. So those are the changes happen at the ground level.
Yeah, let's talk about engagement and partnerships. And Anna, you can come in here. What's the significance? Why should we be focusing on the work that to ensuring that these projects are engaged, the roles of local governments and local communities, and them coming together, maintaining that engagement to ensure the success of these projects, Anna?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, this is exactly the point when we talk about local adaptation, let's say community-based adaptation approaches. Um, they sometimes fall short in engaging not only the community, but also local leaders and local governments. And this is an important approach, at least from our work in the last 20 years, what we found that you need to find to establish a platform for exchange between also the, let's say, informal settings. And it's not always easy, right? You also have the local government representative saying, why should I care about these people living here informally, right? They don't have the right to be here. They don't vote. They don't pay taxes. Why should I care? But if you look at the city as a complex system, then the urban poor are the weakest link of exactly the system. So you have to start any resilience or any adaptation approaches with them and for them. And this is something we are trying to achieve. And I guess Mamoon in Bangladesh is a perfect example of why we also selected his project to be supported, because this combines women, local leaders trying to get engaged, also the local government, and having entering into a kind of discussion, right? And what we also learned, and this is not only true for Bangladesh for the project, is once you have established these connections and these platforms, you can also talk about other problems, right? That are maybe also more connected to the daily life of the community, and that are not, I mean, climate change is a huge word, right? You can break it down really to daily problems. May it be water, may it be flooding, may it be heat waves. So these kind of topics can be discussed through these platforms pretty well. This is our experience, at least.
Mahmoud, tell us about some of your future strategies for sustainability.
Future strategy. As being a local organization, we have a strong presence at the local level. First of all, our team, our executive committees, our management, we have a good connection with the local communities. So we are there. So that's the one thing. We are with all of those challenges and risks. We are working with the communities, and our future strategy to take the plan, the climate resilience plan, in the in action. So we are working with the municipality to allocate a budget for the plan, and after the budget, we will be involved, particularly the groups, women groups, and the citizen committee, the youth. They will be involved to monitor these activities, and we are also planning to replicate these good practices and best practices to other municipalities. And in Bangladesh, there is a Municipality Association of Bangladesh. So we are planning to do some advocacy with the Municipality Association to replicate this model with the other area also. Because the slum people and connecting the slum people with the public authorities for planning and for implementing and monitoring, that is very important for their popularity also. So we are working with all of the stakeholders with the different languages. So thank you. Thank you.
In the remaining 45 seconds each, gentlemen, I'll give you about 30, 45 seconds each. Anna, you first. We're watching on the Reimagine stage at the Sustainable Innovation Forum. We're at COP26. It's coming to an end. What's your message, your call to action for those of us that are watching in person and those of us, many thousands of us, that are watching online? Anna first.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, if you think about innovation, innovation comes in various forms, right? So you always have to keep the perspective. Something that might not be innovative for some communities in Europe are really innovative for communities in other countries. So you always have to keep this perspective in mind, what works, and using the knowledge of the local communities to shape their own future.
Yeah. Mamoun, final word. Inspiring way to send us on our way this morning.
Yes, I think this is the good platform to express our solidarity with the COP26 because I am representing the vulnerable community who are living at the belt of Bengal and with the mangrove forest in Sundarban. So we think that there should have initiative and also the action for changing the uh, system now. This is a very emergency and this is challenging period. We are passing now.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Big round of applause. We got there in the end. Technology didn't let us down. Mamoun Rashid, Arne Janssen, thank you both for joining us today. Been great having you from outside Glasgow.